Last weekend, I stood before you across town in Kensington, where my office announced the seizure of more than 10 ghost guns and DIY kits like this one right here. This is what we seized. These guns found their way from Eagle Arms Gun Show in Morgantown, which is in Berks County, about 50 miles from here, to the streets of Philadelphia within just hours. The defendants in these cases went there with the intention of buying these 80% receivers. This is why they went to the gun show, and this is what they brought back to our city streets. They bought them with no background check because it's not required under Pennsylvania law. They assembled them quickly, and then they sold them to people on the streets of Philadelphia who want to commit crimes, and in some cases did. These individuals, some of whom could not legally carry a gun, have been arrested, and our investigation, as I said last weekend, is ongoing. But those arrests were not the only result of that operation. Today, I'm here in West Philly for a major announcement, and that is to say that Eagle Arms, the promoter for that gun show in Morgantown and the largest gun show promoter in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, has taken a major step. Indeed, this is a first in the nation step to curb the kind of gun violence that we are seeing as a result of these gun shows. Starting just a day ago, Eagle Arms has announced that they will no longer allow the sale of 80% receiver kits at all of their gun shows. That is the first time we are aware of in this nation that a gun show operator has partnered with law enforcement to stop the sale of these dangerous 80% receiver kits. Let me just tell you quickly what a ghost gun is. Under Pennsylvania law, these ghost guns are not classified as a handgun. At least not yet, Senator Hughes. And what's more is that when they are fully built, they lack serial numbers and all other types of identifying information, and they become a ghost gun. Like I said before, they are sold without a background check. They are untrackable, they are untraceable, and they are becoming the weapon of choice for criminals on the streets of Philadelphia. Let me give you some data to back that up. Back in 2019, we seized 99 of these ghost guns here in Philly. In 2020, that number rose to 250 ghost guns. We have recovered almost 100 in the first 2 months of 2021 alone. They're more popular than ever, and they're going to become more widespread than ever unless we cut off the flow of these guns at their source. That's why we do surveillance at gun shows, to understand illegal gun trafficking and how prohibited persons are buying these kits. And I want you to know we have worked with Eagle Arms for years to monitor these shows. We have watched convicted felons walk out of these gun shows with massive duffel bags full of them, coming back to the streets of this city, putting them together, and selling them for a profit. Those posters, which just flew over, show what the tables look like with those 80% receivers on them. Agents from our office have tracked these folks to the gun shows and back to the city. And our announcement last weekend, after our announcement last weekend, we began in earnest a dialogue with Eagle Arms to collaborate with them. Hear me on this. Collaborate with them on ways to make sure that these kits stop being sold there and end up killing people here. I actually want to specifically thank Representative Brown, who, by the way, took this photo because he took the time to leave his district and go to the gun show and see with his own eyes what was happening there. Eagle Arms has operated or scheduled 15 gun shows in Pennsylvania through this month, which makes up a third of the total shows in this Commonwealth. And when we engaged in that dialogue after last weekend, Eagle Arms heard the cries of our lawmakers and law enforcement, and most importantly, they heard the cries of concerned families. And the leader there of Eagle Arms, and we talked about this directly, he decided he needed to do something about it. By his own estimation, they have sold 6,000 of these in just the first 2.5 months of this year. 6,000 of these were bought without a background check. Now here, I can't tell you that they all came back to Philly, but I can tell you a lot of them did. So after a week of talks with Eagle Arms, we came to the same conclusion, that these kits are dangerous, that these kits are too easily getting in the wrong hands. And they decided, Eagle Arms did, that they would no longer play a role in fueling the violence that we're seeing from convicted felons here in Philadelphia. And so this weekend marked the first weekend where the tables were empty, where the tables no longer had those 80% receivers on them. This is a significant step, first in the nation, but it's a voluntary ban by this company. I think what's important is that we change our laws here in Pennsylvania and that we have others follow suit. You know, back in 2019, I issued a legal opinion under my authority as the Commonwealth's top lawyer that these dangerous 80% receivers should be regulated as firearms under state law. Unfortunately, we were immediately sued by the gun lobby. We're battling it out in court. But while we're battling it out in court, lawmakers like Senator Hughes and Senator Fontana, Senator Williams, and others have decided to take this into their own hands. And they recently announced legislation in the Pennsylvania General Assembly that will prevent unregistered firearms from ending up in criminal hands. Senator Hughes' bill classifies this ghost gun as a firearm, and Senator Hughes, this bill has my full support. I want to just say this as I close. You know, today we're here in West Philly, the very same block where only 1.5 years ago we recovered a ghost gun in a home just up the street. It was linked to an individual engaged in a heinous crimes, including a homicide. That individual is behind bars now. We're here today in this community that has seen so much violence because the recovery of ghost guns is up 152%. And because we recognize that we need to work together, not just law enforcement, but with organizations like Eagle Arms. I want to encourage other gun show promoters to take a moment, like Eagle Arms did. Think about your responsibility. Think about your responsibility to ending this violence that we're seeing here in Philly and in Reading and Hazleton and Chester and Erie and Harrisburg and so many communities that are wrecked by gun violence. We need to work together to keep our communities safe, to keep more kids alive, to stop families from being ripped apart, to stop them from having to mourn losses and send balloons up into the sky and cry. In that mission, I believe everyone has a role to play. Let me be very clear. It's time to stop with the thoughts and prayers. It's time to stop pretending that the Second Amendment allows criminals to skirt our laws. It's time to stop complaining about the city being so violent, but there's no solutions out there to address the growing gun violence on our streets. Look, responsible gun owners know this. Responsible gun show promoters know this. And these folks want to take ghost guns off our streets. And so we met them and we worked with them. We came up with a solution that's going to save lives. There are solutions out there. Don't let anybody tell you there aren't. Don't let anybody just pass the buck to someone else. Today, we've become the first state in our nation to do something about this, to bridge the strained relationships of gun enthusiasts and those who want more gun reform. Today, we here in Philadelphia show it's possible. And we take a concrete step to save lives in this community. I want to thank all of these great community partners who are up here who have worked with us. And at this time, I'll recognize Representative Brown for a few words.